Greetings. When we last left, Martin and Rorik were basking at Lady Laurel's vineyard, resting, replenishing their alchemy stocks, and generally just having some downtime between adventures. As part of the experience rules, I'm going to say that their downtime consists of 3 possible downtime actions. And Rorik is going to, all 3 of those actions, spend silver to get free checks. So, and I'm going to make that part of the experience system on a permanent basis for all campaigns. Again, to give characters a valuable money sink, and to somewhat offset the fact that we have slowed, at least in this version of the game, and you can speed this up absolutely simply by tweaking the numbers. But in this version of the campaign, we have indeed slowed down leveling to quite a degree. And, and that's fine. And I like that. And my players are mostly okay with it, I think. I'm pretty sure. But it is true that at some point, you might go, well, geez, I would love to gain a level here and there. And so this gives us a way to turn gold into XP. That's very old school, and I like that. I always liked gold as XP, playing old versions of D&D, and we're going to do that here. So Rorik is going to spend 300 of his gold, knocking him down to 269, and that's approximately 2 kilograms. And he's going to buy 3 free checks. That's in addition to the stuff that he already got and the stuff that he spent getting Keen Eye. I am going to burn those free checks. Excuse me. You have to excuse my throat here a little bit. We are going to burn those 3 checks, and we're going to try to roll on axes, maces, and picks. 1 fails, 2 succeeds, so we burned 2 of these already to get 1 experience point there. And we'll burn again. A 6 fails, geez, an 18 succeeds. So he burns 2 more, erases those, and raises that to a 9 and that to a 13. That's his defense track now goes to that, which isn't bad. We also have a profession soldier we didn't roll, which we convert to an experience. And I think we'll put the last check into tactics, and that will clear us out. And we succeed. So there's experience done for Rorik. For Martin, he has 2 things he needs to do. He is going to work alchemy, so that's one thing, and then go buy reagents. So we're going to call that one thing. So he can do 2 more things. He will spend enough to get 1 free check. And again, that's going to be approximately 2 kilos. Oops, wrong thing. And that's going to put him at about 15. So he's going to buy a single check. He needs to roll that trade, which he fails. He did already spend in swords, so he did get swords up. I need to get medical up, so I'm going to plow these 3 free checks into medical. And that's 1 success, 1 failure, 2 failures. So there you go. He gets 1 XP in medical. And there you go. So that's all of our experience spent. Tiny just starts with now, so though he will be joining them, he starts with nothing in the tank. The second thing the last thing Martin's going to do, since he spent on one free check, is going to be he's going to go and talk to the alchemists again and try to use, his... Oh, we have an alchemy check to roll too. Gosh darn it. Sorry about that. Yeah, and we convert that. We're going to use our knowledge, our various person skills to try to get get some kind of positive reaction from these guys so that we can work with them. I mean, you have 4 master or pseudo master or apprentices of the master alchemist in town. Now, don't get me wrong, that bothers Martin a little bit, because what it means is starting an alchemy shop here sounds like a non-starter. You have way too much competition. There's no possible way he's going to be able to sell potions and compete with these guys. They could bury him before he gets his business started. So I think he knows he has to move on from Salem, which is sort of funny because I did not in any way, shape, or form intend that this was a thing until we made those rolls. So Salem is not his final destination for sure. But this is also would be a great place to get a contact who actually wanted to deal with him. He could probably learn a couple darn recipes here if he just could get one of them to trust him enough to do that. So I think he's going to go to Sasak first, the Cobrat runner of the notorious opium den, called the Den. And so he will go to Underwood and go to the Den, and he will talk to Sasak and try to, ingratiate himself, see if he can do anything for him. Do any work for him, etc. We are going to let him make a persuade check. But again, I think these persuade checks are going to be very difficult. Let's say a 16. So Martin is down by 6 points and would need to roll a 6 or above on the D12 minus D12. And he does not. And Sasak is like, look, even if I did desire an apprentice, which I do not, it would matter not. See, I am out of the alchemy business anyway. Out of the alchemy business? What are you talking about? Well, the Den notwithstanding, of course. I will construct the little concoctions which I make and perfect them so that people can escape the drudgery of their day-to-day reality. But beyond that, I am out of the alchemy business. It is tiresome, and frankly, I am tired of the constant bickering and backstabbing with my siblings, which the 4 alchemists, if you recall, we talked about last time, were all taken in by the master alchemist. What's his name, guys? What is his name? I'm bad with my own names. Coravalden. So you will have to look elsewhere to fulfill your ambitions. Well, can you tell me anything that'll help me? Now, is Martin... Martin will roll. I mean, he's rolled other alchemists before here, but he's going to roll other alchemists to see... Can he sort of... He has an 11. Again, these rolls are all going to be 6. No, he doesn't make it. No, I have nothing for you. As I said, anything I could tell you would only harm your chances. You should go there and, in fact, pretend you don't even know me. Pretend we have never met. So alchemist. So Martin is going to leave Sasak, and he's alone because he's just traveling. And Tiny really doesn't want to show his face in Salem right now. He's looking to get out of town. So Martin is alone. I'm going to say a 1 in 12, and he has some kind of adverse encounter in the South Side or in the in Underwood, because both these are shady neighborhoods, right? Martin really probably shouldn't be alone here. And he gets a 7. So no shady, no bad, no badness. He's not mugged. So there's Yingvelda, there's Val Keldermain at the university, and there's Lo Shamat, who works in Overlook, which is the this is like the town of Steven Seagal. We have a lot of prepositional phrases in town. um, um, I don't know that he feels comfortable. So Yngvalda is down in the market. Val Keldermain is in the university. He actually works at the university. So I'm gonna say that that takes the better part of the morning. So he's into the early afternoon. I don't think Martin wants to go back to the university. I think Martin's like, nah, I'm good. He's gonna go to the market because he's worried about that guy Ellis, the sage that sort of pressed him on his scroll. So we're gonna say that his next attempt is going to be Yngvalda in the market. So he goes, he navigates to the market. Again, we'll roll. I don't know that this will be a bad encounter. No encounter. I mean, he has encounters. The market is busy, right? Full of folks. People have gotten in, and the weather is wonderful today, and it's been that way for a couple days. And so I think the market is just bustling with people. And so Martin, he is no, what do you want to say? He's no stranger to the street. I don't know what song that's from. But Martin is not. And so he has all of his things like correctly situated against pickpockets. He holds that bag a little tighter. His eyes are open. So even as he's bumping through the shoppers and the cart merchants and all of the hustle and bustle of the street, I think in the market district, I think he is fine. So let's get off of this picture. And this is a terrible picture for it because it doesn't show all the people, right? Because I'm picturing the market as sort of an open air market that is very busy. I didn't get a painting for that. I should have. So very happy, so right. So and Martin sort of likes that. Like this reminds him of those days, when he was cutting class at school and just wandering around the streets of Ismuth and going to the shops and going to the cafes, right? That kind of thing. So this is sort of where he's at. His mind is taken back there. And he's sort of happy with that. But he will go to where he is directed to Yngvalda's shop. And again, he is surprised, I think, because this actually, there is like a window there with a is Yngvalda paranoid enough? Let's see. So how nutty is our gal here? No, she's good. She actually, right, we got a bell curve, right? And so a 5 puts her on the good side of the bell curve. So she actually has like a young Bostonian boy there working a window, but the window is selling tools and weapons and so on. It's a smith's shop, storefront. And he can hear the clanging, right? And this is just where the market, the open air market meets the guild, the craft streets. I'm looking for my Salem. Hold on. Yeah, and I just cleverly named it the Guild Street, right? So literally there is, you know, There's the Silver Alley and the Guild Street, um, and I don't know what to call, right? So, and right there at the edge of the market, there is her smithy shop, and there's a tool shop nearby, and a general store. And he's out of the hustle a tiny bit. But probably goes up to the boy, and he's like, excuse me, but I was directed here, looking for an alchemist, a Baraki alchemist named Yngvalda. And the boy just points to the door. He's like, once you go in, don't step any further than the mat until she calls for you. Wouldn't want you wouldn't want anything to explode or anything bad to happen. He's like, oh. Now, and I'm gonna assume I'm gonna assume that he has not actually talked to Yngvalda in the past. Maybe he's talked to the other ones, looking for trades or some such, but nonetheless. So he goes in, the bell dings, and he just hears this yelling, "Stop!" from the back, the other room, and then because the banging stops. And again, this Baraki woman comes in, and I mean, Baraki are big, so 7-ish foot, 7-ish foot, a little broad. She is probably slightly smaller than that, but still big, and still towers over Martin. And so she just steps out, sort of wipes down, get the apron, maybe takes the apron off and sets it down, and like is enter, and sort of calls out, right? And he steps in, but he looks around. Yngvalda? Yes, that's me. What can I do for you? And she's, points to the very, right? Are you looking for weaponry? Are you looking for armor? I mean, armor is going to be, I have a few stock pieces, but she looks him up and down. He's like, maybe not your size. I might have to refit some of them, change the straps up. I could, do you need something fixed? Well, actually, I am Martin. I still need a last name for poor Martin. He is Martin Best. Best. Martin Best. I'm an alchemist, trained in Ismuth, and I was wondering if, right, and he goes into his spiel, right, if we could maybe have a trade or an exchange of knowledge, or if I could perform, do you need anything? And right, that whole shebang. And so again, I think we'll let him do his spiel, and we'll let him, and he does okay with. Oh, and I know what I should have done. Shoot. I'll retro it. I'll give it to him. It won't. The strange part was it won't actually make him. It might let him succeed, but I don't think it does. So I'm gonna go for Martin here, and we're gonna eat. He's gonna chew on his celandine before he goes in. And that gives him +1 to his charisma and +1 to charisma rolls for an hour. So he eats the celandine, and so his charisma is effectively 15, but more important, his persuade becomes an 11. Now that doesn't quite get him where he needs to be, since he needed, now he's only 5 down. So is there anything he can do? So she seems reluctant. She is like, no, 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 no. How do I know that you've not come from the others, the other alchemists? You know, those boys will do anything to get ahead. I'm almost certain that if they could replicate some of my recipes, that they would try to put me out of business. So no, no, no. I don't need any assistance from anyone that I don't know. And so I think and so he barely misses this, and he has no inspiration left because I burned it all, if you recall, before. And I've said we're gonna have to go into the next, right? You know, the problem with any per session resources in any game is that it does sort of benefit the metagame, the folks that would play the metagame. So for instance, if you know you're going to get your inspiration back at the end of a session, then there really is nothing stopping you from burning them all at the end of a session, right? Oh, it's the boss fight. Now, don't get me wrong. You're going to burn that crap over a boss fight anyway, typically. So what I ruled was that last time when he was burning them, you know, knowing that the session was just going to be downtime, and he burned them on his alchemy, I said, yeah, but he'll have to go into the next game without them. And this is that game. So I'm going to say he has no inspiration, but I will give him a small break. I will say that he can maybe discuss. So using his alchemy, he's going to make an alchemy roll, and if he can make this 16, he's still 5 down, then he can bump that to a +1 on his persuade roll, which missed by 1. I'll give him a little bump. So he starts trying to sweet talk her with some of the knowledge that he picked up in Ismuth. Well, look, madam, I mean, you know, you've been up in the north here for so long. You know, perhaps I could benefit you by teaching you some of the newest techniques that we've had that I learned in Ismuth from the alchemists in the south. And he does not make it. So she's like, well, I will admit that sounds good. Perhaps someday you and I can have that discussion, but I am not looking for your assistance or anything of that matter. And so he does ask her, you know, so he'll try again, right? He'll try to converse a bit, right? So and he does actually make that one. I don't know that I care, but we'll see. So he's like, so he tries to engage. So she's ready to end the conversation, and I think he's just trying to keep her on the hook a little bit, right? So tell me, madam, an alchemist as accomplished as you are, with your very impressive pedigree. Tell me why you're running a smithing shop. And she's like, well, it is true. I am a very accomplished alchemist, and it is true that you know, there should be money to be made, but alas, I am afraid that with my stepbrother still remaining in town, much of the business is very dilute. There is so much competition, and there's so much pressure to undercut the price of the others. And then worse, if any one gets ahead for any length of time, the others will will join together and find a way to take that person down. Such is our spite for each other. And she probably tells him a tiny bit, since he's succeeded in his converse roll, which I'll give him a check in it. Well, that sounds awful. But are you sure that there is nothing I can do? That sounds like a situation that needs. So he's gonna play this up a little bit. You see, madam, that sounds like a situation that requires an external force to break the logjam, doesn't it? Now, I admit I am not nearly as skilled as you, and not and certainly not anyone who studied under the great that guy, Horavalden. You know him. Don't get me wrong. I'm terrible with names. I'm terrible with my own names, and I do have to write them down or have Scott write them down or whatever. You know, whomever one we play at the tabletop. So I don't feel I've crossed that line of a fantasy writer where once you get to the point where you can't pronounce your own shit, you should probably stop. It's like, I don't know if you. How many words did you make up in this book? We should probably stop making up words. But I think Cora Valden sounds better than Bob. You know, Bob, the alchemist. And I'm not as skilled as any of the great. I'm sorry for the parentheticals, which I just did again. And I can not match any of the students of the master Cora Valden, but it does seem like you're in an impasse here, and it's something needs to break that impasse, or else alchemy will be. Alchemy will just continue to be unprofitable for all of you. Do I give him the +1 or not? Is she swayed by that? Because I sort of, because I hate when I don't want to keep giving myself roles, right? But I don't hate that argument. I will give her a 6 or above. I will give her a slightly better than 50-50. 8. So they've been talking now for what I would consider to be, probably close to, an hour or so. And I think Ingvald is like, all right, look here, young Martin. I consider myself to be a decent judge of character. And you don't seem to me like you're working for any of my stepbrothers. They're all snakes, not just the cobra. So I appreciate your determination, and I appreciate the soundness of your argument. So I tell you what, I do have a task that needs done. Let's see if you're up to it, and if you are indeed up to it, then perhaps we can talk about you learning a recipe or two from me, or trading something, right? Now, this isn't an apprenticeship. I've no need for another mouth to feed in my shop. And it doesn't look like you're much of a smith. No, ma'am. That's not what I'm looking for. Just a traveling alchemist. It would be nice to have someone to discuss my work with, trade some recipes with when I pass through, but I won't be staying. All right, then. I'll tell you what. I've got a need that is going to be it's difficult for me to fill alone. And I can't send the boy out to do it. And I don't want to post it anywhere so that the others can get a whiff of it. So I'll leave it up to you. I see that sword strapped on your belt. See that satchel? You're obviously a traveling alchemist. Has that sword ever tasted blood? She's going full on Baraki now, right? And he's like, look, I'm not the best fighter, but yes, and I have companions, and they will back me on this. Okay, then, Martin Best. And so she says she needs. Let's see how many she needs. Let's roll a d6. Or one, well, I can roll a d3 for crying out loud. This is She needs 2 gaunt brains. Okay. Martin does not have beast knowledge. I think Bostonian. I mean, I think generally Bostonians know what gaunt are in vague terms. And so I feel that gives him the tiniest bit of pause. But I don't think he backs down. He's got enough social skills. He's not going to back down. He says, "Well, I will have to talk to my companions, but unless I return, I will return to this shop either telling you that I refuse or that I will return with your reagents." Excellent. Well, I look forward to seeing you again, Martin Best. And she grabs for the apron, and Martin takes that as his cue to leave. So let's talk about what a gaunt is. Again, none of the folks have beast lore, I don't think. I don't think Rorik has beast lore. No. So a gaunt is a humanoid, slightly bigger than man-sized, typically. It has bird-like legs, muscled, but bird-like or gargoyle-like legs that end in eagle talons. Big, right? So it's bigger than man size, so everything is scaled up. Instead of arms, its chest, its torso is human-like, but instead of arms, it has gigantic bat wings. And the bone across the top that sort of anchors the bat wing is very strong and very muscled, and at the joint, it does have a little claw-like appendage, so it can grab things if need be, but cannot wield tools per se. It has a weird head that looks vaguely like a bald human, but is very bird-like in the sense that from the forehead down to where the nose would be is a bony beak-like ridge. So they have a beak instead of a face. So 2 human-like eyes and sort of a mouth, but then a bony beak-like ridge that comes down. Very prominent beak-like ridge. They can fly, and indeed, they do fly, and with fairly keen eyesight, pick out targets on the ground. And they will swoop down and try to pass by those targets and swipe with their talons on the way by, or try to barrel them over and knock them down. Or land next to their target and use the bat-like wing appendages to wrap them up with a very, very muscly and hard-to-escape grip. If they do grip you in their embrace, they use then the bony beak-like appendage to peck at your head until you are dead, or insensate, or stunned, or unconscious, or whatever. They will peck your head. And you either die, or you are knocked out, and then they will carry you up to wherever they're going to eat you. And that's what a gaunt is. They usually do travel in small packs, numbering no more than, like 2 to 4, 2 to 5, maybe at most. Lone gaunts are possible, typically if they're older. They will become more solitary as they get nearer and nearer to death. They are usually found in hilly or more mountainous terrain where they hunt herd animals, goats, deer, mountain lions, etc. Not that a mountain lion is a herd animal, but you know what I mean. They hunt wolves, stuff like that. They are generally fairly well feared amongst the people of Bostonia, who have to traverse hills or mountains, especially with wide open skies. So I'm going to say that we made at least a reasonable impression with Yingvalda. And we'll give us I have my rep table up here for what it's worth. Here's Yingvalda, and we're going to give her a +1. She has a slightly good rep with the with Martin, assuming he takes the job. So that is true. So maybe we should wait. So he's going to go back and explain the job to the rest of our group there, and I think she will even give him some idea of where to find them, and where we would find them is north of Salem. There's a pass called the Stargard Pass, which leads to Baraki lands, and up in the mountains on the west side of that pass, they would go and they could probably find a Gaunt or 2 or 5, or don't want to find 5. If we find 5, the party's in pretty deep trouble, I would say. And I think Martin's like, Rorik's like, ugh, I don't like it. Has he seen a Gaunt ever? Has Rorik seen a Gaunt? I'm not going to say, yeah, no, he has. Yes. I saw a Gaunt once. Chased a bounty up into the hills once. Chased him for 3 days. He evaded me by making a jump across a little a ditch. Used to be like a stream run through. He made the leap. I didn't. Hurt my leg. Rolled into the ditch. Next thing I heard was this leathery flap of wings. And just this horrible smashing and screaming. Ugh, he shakes. I just crawled up to the edge to look. And one of these things had him, right? And he gives the thing, he mimes the hug, and just smashing down with its beak into its head. Oh, and picking out, he shudders. And Martin's like, well, there's 3 of us, right? I mean, we have to be able to take, to be able to take one of these things. If it grabs any one of us, the others can certainly make that thing pay. And they don't know, I don't have beast lore, so they don't know that they attack in packs. They have no idea, right? They don't have beast lore. I think, I mean, I think that, so they could hire a guide who does have beast lore. Do they think that? Do they get that, right? I mean, maybe. We'll give Martin a roll too. So yeah, so if you think about, he has a high enough wit, right? He's like, well, look, maybe we should hire a guide who knows these things a little bit, who's traversed the pass, and maybe he knows, and he'll be able to A, lead us to a place where they might be, but B, keep us sort of, on the watch, and we won't get surprised, that whole thing. And so I think the group agrees with that caveat. And so I don't know exactly what, I had to get, so I think the whole adventure of them, that took what? Through the 17th, I'm sure. Let's see where we're at here. They talked to her at they talked to Lady Laura the 17th. The 18th and the 19th were investigation. The 20th probably starts there. Yeah, right? So that investigation did not last. It's either the 20th or the 21st. Sort of took that. We'll say 21st was And then let's say that their downtime took something akin to 2 weeks, maybe a little longer. So 2 weeks from May 21st is going to be June 4th. And let's just make it the start of that very next week. So instead of June 4th, it'll be June 8th. So on June 8th, so episode 17, Martin tries to convince alchemists. Gets job from Yngvalda. Collect 2 gaunt brains. And this will be June 7th when he gets the job. Well, yeah, so June 5th when he gets the job. They're going to then spend a couple days finding a guide, and then on June 8th, they will leave. They leave after Mass. That's Sunday. Right? So they leave after Mass, but we're gonna see what their and then maybe that date doesn't work because they don't find anyone and they stay. But let's take a shot. So we're gonna say, we'll let Rorik roll carouse. We'll let Tiny roll knowledge of Salem. So Tiny, roll your knowledge of Salem. -1. I don't know that he can find a guide to get them to where they need to be. We'll let Rorik roll carouse. They go into some establishments. They spend some cash. We'll say it costs them $20 in bribes, and they can meet a guide. And that guide will be let's make a name for our guide. His name will be Tedzen, Tedzen, Tamarack, or Old Ted. How skilled is Old Ted? Good question. Reasonably skilled, but not great. He's not great. He is okay. Say around 10-ish is his skills. That's a professional. He can do the job, but in a pinch, I don't know, right? You'd be better off having found someone else. They don't know any better, and Ted sounds great because Ted's like, oh yes, of course, I've been up and down this mountains for blah blah blah, right? And so on. I can, oh please, I'm like a goat in these hills, etc. etc. So the group is like, oh, I don't know, but they're like, oh, I mean, it's all we've found in, right? We wanted to leave by so it's probably the 7th or something, right? They spent a couple days looking. We haven't found anyone else that'll take us up on this. Well, most of them leave as soon as we say we're hunting Gaunt, because they go, yeah, you're stupid and you have a death wish. That's Rourke, probably. And Tiny's like, he seems nice to me. Let's just do it. Martin's like, let's go. I mean, we want him to lead us to Gaunt. Let's. And his skills will either determine whether they can find Gaunt and whether they will be able to approach the Gaunt in an advantageous position or get surprised by them, right? That kind of thing. So I think on the morning of June, what was it, 8th, I said? They attend services like good worshippers of Stratus. They find Tedzin, Tamarack, who is lovingly known as Old Ted, who has skills around 10-ish in survival, navigate, and beast lore, among other things, right? We're not going to write him up just yet, but if there's a question, he has about a 10. So it's going to take them, I'm going to say, about 2 days. Now I got to redraw these maps a little bit. And I do want to put hexes around them and so on. So where they're heading is they're heading from here up into here. And I'm going to say, because this is Salem, I'm going to say this is going to take probably a day or two. There's probably some foothills that aren't exactly right. So this terrain probably gets a little crappy. And so we'll say it takes about 2 days to get here. 2 days. And then they'll wind their way in hopes of, and they'll be, carefully looking for Gaunt. Looking for nests, looking for signs in the air, Gaunt spoor on the ground, right? Goat carcass or goats that are, right, that were a little bit torn up or that kind of thing. And I'm not gonna roll on the 2 days to get into the hills. Let's just say that happens. And we'll buy food for a week, maybe. 7 days, 2 there, 2 back, 3 in the mountains. Let's just pretend let's buy closer to 10 days, 2 days, 2 days. So that's 6 days in the mountains. Okay. I will just write that down that I bought 10 days of food and then I'll calculate all that. Okay. Leave after Mass. 2 days to the mountains. And now we start searching. So let's give Ted a roll on his 10 for beast lore. Ooh, -4. So he's telling stories about the Gaunt, his days. Oh, yeah, back in the day, we used to hunt them all the time. Oh, shot them right out of the sky, we did. They never even had a chance to land. Absolutely. Right? He's giving them that vibe. And I think maybe, so that's like day 1. Maybe the party's bullshit meter is it ticks the tiniest bit. Maybe. But we'll do, so we will actually do, so we're going to do, I'm going to pause here. I'm going to get my other rules, and we're going to get, well, I have them right here, though, so it's not a huge deal. So I'm going to say the terrain difficulty is somewhere between 16 and 18, the mountains. There's a few trails. So we're going to have, so what you do, so typically what you have to do is you have to denote someone is going to be the navigator, someone's the pathfinder, and then everybody else can be your scouts. And the navigator uses his navigate skill and any knowledges he might have. The pathfinder uses survive or track. And the scouts can use any of their search skills or sneak. And then we make some checks and determine what happens in the day. So we will say, I think we're going to let Ted be our navigator. We'll let Tiny help him with his knowledge, as good as that is, and see sort of what happens. Rorik will be the Pathfinder. He has a 12, so he's pretty good. And then everyone will have to scout as best they can. Now, typically, the second thing you do is at a -2 to avoid having one character do all the things because he's specialized as like rangery kind of things. I want these jobs to typically be split out. I have a table of 8 people. We need everybody to be doing stuff. So typically that's sort of how I play it. So our scouts, so Martin will be a scout, and then you could make Tiny a scout, or we could make Rorik a scout, but he would take a -2 for his second job. So, first off, Tiny gets to roll, and the actor Ted gets to roll. So we roll 2 die 12. The first one will be Tiny's roll. The second one will be Ted's roll. The rule for assisting is it's like rolling with advantage, but if the assistant rolls a 1 or 2, he actually gives a -2 to the main guy. So it becomes a little bit, you can get in the way too. So we're going to roll navigate first. We'll say the DL is not an 18. We'll say it's a 16. These mountains at this point are fairly easy going. We're not going deep into them. We're going to keep to the trails and the tracks. Not bad. So these are both our rolls. So that's an 11. So Tiny actually is very helpful. And he has a 9. So we take the better of those 2 rolls, add the 10 skill. We have a 21 versus a 9. So plus 16 is a 25. So 21 versus 25 is still going to fail, though. So we will fail our navigate check. So I'm going to roll a d12 now to get the mishap going. Eight. Bad choices. You make progress, but find yourself moving in terrain more dangerous than you would like. Move as normal, but the Pathfinders suffer a -2 to their check. Okay? So the Pathfinder makes his check. Rourke is a 12. These are difficult. This is still difficult, so it's really a 10. So we're going to make a skill check. And Rourke makes a skill check, but remember, he's down by 6. So he's going to also potentially fail that check. And we'll roll another d12. We get a 1, which isn't too bad. Encounter. You're going to suffer a random encounter from an appropriate table or list for that region. Done. Your scouts suffer a -2 to spot this encounter. So there you go, even worse. Excuse me. So, that's a good question. So we're just in the mountains. And we're going to get ambushed by something, probably. Are these the Gaunts? I'm going to give it, I'm going to give it at least, let's say, a 50-50. 6, 7 and up is, yes, Gaunt. 2, it's not the Gaunt. That's actually the worst of all rolls we could have got. Although you never know, because it could have been a total disaster if you had 4 Gaunts surprising the group. Oh, geez, that's end of game, probably, is my guess. I have some possible encounters that I can draw on here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is they wander through, get a little bit lost, off the trail maybe, and they're trying to find the trail back. Maybe the hills, the mountains here, they go into a little bit of a slightly wooded area. They're not above the tree line yet. And so they get turned around. Old Ted thought he found what he looked at. Say, oh, that's it. That's stool from a gaunt. Let's search around. And so they were going to go search around. They sort of lost their way a bit, and had to spend quite a bit of time circling back. And so they walked a little longer than they might have, because they were like, we cannot camp where we're at. We're on a rough hillside here. There's no flat spot, and there's trees everywhere and brush. And this won't do. So let's find a suitable spot to camp. And so that evening, while they're trying to find a suitable camping spot, a small gaggle of deer run past them. Let's let the scouts make their checks. Martin will make his skill roll. Nope. And Rourke will make his. No, they're busy, right? And so they are going to not realize what was chasing those deer was a pack of 5 wolves. Let's say 1 alpha wolf and then a set of, normal wolves, right? Pack wolves. So bad. So June 10th, into the mountains. They have a bad first day. Navigation fails. Pathfinding fails. They have an encounter and are surprised. 1 alpha wolf and 4 wolves, 4 pack wolves. And so all of a sudden, right? They're like, oh, what was that about, right? And then there's howls and howls all around them, and they're immediately beset upon by these wolves who are ready to pounce on the deer, but instead decide that these hapless men would be a better meal. Now, wolves aren't super dangerous, right? They're the normal wolves are animals. It's unlikely they will fight to the death, of course. Like, that would be crazy. The alpha is going to be a little stronger. So I'm going to write these wolves up, and we'll make a little combat map, and we will actually do that for the next episode. So episode 18 will start with our encounter with the pack of ravenous wolves. So thank you very much for listening to episode 17. If you like this series, leave me a comment. I love when people leave me a comment, especially first-time folks that have just stumbled onto this. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you like, what you don't like. I'm all ears. I'm trying to make this as entertaining as possible while still being, a game to me. I'm still trying to play the game, but I would like it to ultimately be entertaining. And some stuff you might go, hey, I like this or I don't like this, and I might go, yeah, I can't do anything about that, but I'll keep it in mind. I always try to make this better for all of us. So that's it. Thank you very much for listening. I will catch you next time.